Hi. The email hit her inbox at 3:17 p.m. on a Thursday, subject line. Just a quick chat, smiling face with smiling eyes, which in corporate speak meant, duck and cover, the building's already on fire. Rachel clicked it with the same energy you'd use to open a snake's mouth. Hi Rachel, just wanted to touch base real quickly. Tomorrow's check-in with finance. Please remember, we're navigating some delicate restructuring right now. Let's all try to keep things constructive and drama-free. Appreciate your professionalism as always. Melinda, HR, drama-free, huh? That's rich coming from the department that just accidentally deleted half her Access credentials last week and claimed it was a system-wide sync error. Right. Just like it was a coincidence that every one of her direct reports had suddenly been moved to temporary cross-functional teams with no return date. Like it was random that her calendar was now a graveyard of canceled strategy meetings she used to lead. Like her name had simply slipped off the new org chart that was quietly passed around in a finance-only PDF, one that she wasn't even supposed to see, except someone sent it to the wrong Rachel. She didn't rage. She didn't march into anyone's office with printouts or Slack receipts. That's what they wanted, escalation, something they could fold into an exit package under non-alignment with culture. Instead, she sat still in her ergonomic chair, like a frog in a slowly boiling pot, and let the silence calcify into clarity. They were isolating her, not firing her yet, just dissolving her. A slow, polite exorcism. Gaslight her until she questioned her own memory of which projects she led. Leave her just enough responsibility to stay busy, but none of it visible to the board. Starve the oxygen, wait for her to self-destruct. Rachel blinked slowly and stared at the spinning Slack icon on her other monitor. Her group chat, Operations Unfiltered, had gone quiet. Nobody replied when she dropped a meme last night about restructuring season, Hunger Games edition. 2 people had seen it, 0 likes, no GIF reactions. That was the real tell. Silence wasn't indifference, it was fear. They were pulling away from her like blood from a wound. She minimized her inbox, opened a blank document. File name, Drama Plus. DocX header, if they're gonna script the drama, I'm gonna sell tickets. Because here's what HR didn't know, Rachel had receipts. All of them. She'd spent the last 8 months watching senior leadership fumble their way through an ERP implementation like toddlers with chainsaws. She'd tracked every overwritten budget line, every email where procurement backdated approvals to cover someone's bonus window, every spreadsheet labeled "Do Not Share" that got passed around after happy hour by some whiskey-soaked director who forgot how CC fields work. She hadn't known why she was saving it all. Just a gut feeling, a survival instinct, like a squirrel hoarding rotten acorns in case winter turned nuclear. Until now, she started typing, not just notes, blueprints, a framework. Imagined it not as a blog post or a Medium think piece. No, this would be performance art, a stage, a stream, a private room where the right people, disillusioned analysts, burned-out project leads, pissed-off ex-staffers, could watch the real story unfold in real time. No TikTok voiceovers. No fake ex-CEO tells all Reddit post. This would be their reality show, and the pilot episode was called The Audit Was Never About Efficiency. She heard a Slack ping. Linda from HR had sent a follow-up. Just confirming you'll be bringing a positive tone to the check-in tomorrow, grinning face with smiling eyes. Rachel replied with a thumbs-up emoji. Then added another slide to her new file. What HR means by positive tone, a case study in smile-based compliance. The Drama Plus doc was no longer just a file. It was an arc. And when the corporate flood hit, and oh, it was coming, she wasn't going down with the sinners. Be selling VIP tickets on the lifeboat. The first ghost was Mark from procurement. They used to trade lunch memes and vendor horror stories like war vets. Now he passed her in the hallway like she was radioactive. No eye contact, just a twitchy nod and a sudden obsession with his phone screen. Second ghost was Priya, normally so bubbly she made HR look goth. But this week, her replies had shrunk from sentences to emojis. Then nothing. By Friday, Rachel's Slack felt like an abandoned theme park. Conversations she used to orbit had spun off without her. Threads she'd created now sat unanswered, a trail of digital tumbleweeds. She sent a query about project timelines and #Q3 planning, watched 2 people type, then vanish, like ghosts flickering in and out of a dying seance. Then came the whisper. Ben from FP&A, the kind of guy who wore lanyards to happy hour, slipped her a post-it in the kitchen. Didn't say a word, just palmed it into her hand like they were trading prison contraband next to the fridge full of La Croix. It read, "You're next. Get out clean." No signature. Just those 5 words and a faint smell of his lemony hand sanitizer. Rachel didn't need to decode it. She already knew. There'd been rumors floating like sewer gas for weeks. Some kind of strategic culture refresh, jargon-wrapped poison disguised as synergy. But she hadn't seen the mechanism until now. That afternoon, an email chain landed in her inbox by accident, or maybe by mercy. Subject line, Talent Optimization Matrix Confidential. It came from someone on the board, CC'd to HR and legal. She wasn't supposed to see it, but her name was spelled wrong in the filter, Rachel instead of Rachel. A clerical miracle. Inside the thread was a spreadsheet. One column was labeled Behavioral Risk Flags. Another read Justification Narrative if challenged. Her name was there. Line 14. Risk flag, overindexes on integrity, overengaged in audit trail culture. Translation, she kept receipts, and that made her dangerous. Another manager, Teresa from logistics, was already gone. Escort out the side door. Slack deactivated by lunch. Her crime, raising cultural concerns about a vendor consolidation that reeked of someone's second cousin's shell company. Rachel had her notes. She'd backed up Teresa's doc before IT nuked it from the drive. She knew now these weren't layoffs. They were controlled burns. Remove the fire alarms before the smoke gets noticed. Rachel didn't rage. She upgraded. That night, after a frozen Trader Joe's tikka masala and 2 fingers of bourbon, opened her laptop and stared at the Drama Plus docx file. Then she didn't just rename it. She rebuilt it, pulled up Webflow, bought a domain, watched Drama Live, enabled password-only entry, integrated Stripe with tiered pricing, $4.99 for highlights, $9.99 for live access, $19.99 for Slack commentary. She embedded a countdown widget on the homepage. No date, just a timer, ticking. She called it The Reckoning. In another tab, she opened her receipts folder, renamed it Exhibit A, then started uploading screen recordings of budget calls where the CFO said, technically, it's not fraud if no one audits it. Audio memos from vendor meetings where someone joked about splitting the invoice like we split hairs. A video clip of the CEO calling HR our reputation laundering department. By midnight, Drama Plus was no longer an idea. It was a weapon. And Rachel? She wasn't scared anymore. She was sharpening. The break room was unusually quiet for Tuesday, like the walls had absorbed too many secrets and finally decided to hold their breath. Rachel was microwaving her usual wilted kale and chicken misery bowl when she saw Julie from Risk walk past HR's glass fishbowl, flanked by 2 security guards in polos that tried way too hard to look casual. Julie didn't make a scene. She clutched her water bottle, kept her eyes forward, and walked with the stiff grace of someone who'd already mourned this moment in private. The microwave beeped. Rachel didn't move. Julie was the canary. Everyone knew it. Last manager still openly asking why the budget committee needed emergency discretionary powers and why 6-figure vendor contracts were being rushed through finance with no RFP. The same questions Rachel had logged, highlighted, cross-referenced in her personal archive. Julie had spoken up on a call last week, citing concerns of financial mischaracterization. The CFO chuckled and called her cautiously passionate. 3 days later, she was gone. Back at her desk, Rachel sat down to review a monthly variance report she didn't ask for, one that came through from finance with a sheepish, "Can you sanity check this before EOD?" which was code for "We need your name on this before we torch it." She opened the Excel file. It looked normal, columns of spend, budget caps, notes on vendor realignment. But there was a hidden tab, and someone forgot to password protect it. She clicked it. Title read, Behavioral Liability Index Internal Use Only. She scrolled. Each row was a name. Next to it, flags, risk justifications, and something called projected narrative value. Rachel Lane, excessive audit retention behavior. Likely to resist restructure narrative. Suggests soft character attack, rigid or non-collaborative. There it was. Not just the kill order, but the story they'd tell after the shot. Her stomach twisted in a slow, acidic loop, but her hands didn't shake. She read the rest. The real bomb wasn't her name, it was the numbers further down. Variance anomalies tied to offshore strategy consultancies in Malta. Vendor kickbacks labeled as employee incentive programming. Some entries were marked with a timestamp and one name, Board Member A, personal direction. They weren't just restructuring. They were robbing the place blind and paving their getaway with her reputation. She was the smoke screen story HR would whisper about. You know, she had a tough time adapting. Became kind of difficult. Executives would nod sagely, then roll out the next round of morale-boosting lunch coupons while the company bled from its arteries. Rachel stood up, closed her office door, and pulled the blinds. No more drafts, no more hypothetical blueprints. It was time to build the damn stage. She pulled out her personal laptop, flipped it open like a coffin lid, downloaded OBS, open broadcaster software, set up a full screen capture, audio channel, and a decoy deck titled Team Synergy Vision 2025. Added a hotkey to toggle the stream on and off with a single tap. She logged into her site, watched Drama Live, enabled live streaming permissions, set up a test event, titled it Dry Run, How the Sausage Gets Laundered, enabled a private lock, password protected, shared it with one contact, her burner email, hit record, tested the feed. Her screen went live, clean, no lag. Then, slowly, she dragged the spreadsheet, the one with the behavioral liability index, into view. Watched the live thumbnail flicker as the names and justifications populated on screen. She whispered, "Smile for the camera, you snakes." She disabled the stream. OBS saved the clip to a folder labeled Launch Ammo. She sat back, listened to the building's HVAC hum. It sounded like the world bracing itself for a storm it pretended wouldn't come. And Rachel? She wasn't praying for mercy. She was checking for mic levels. The email to Jen had no subject line and no pleasantries. Just a Dropbox link, a 3-line summary, and the sentence, "Tell me if I go to prison for this." Rachel didn't wait for a reply. She shut her laptop, pulled the blinds again, paced her living room in a loop tight enough to wear the laminate down to foam. Jen was an attorney now. A real one, partner track at a boutique firm that handled white-collar crime defense with a side hustle in whistleblower settlements. They used to get drunk together in undergrad and watch The West Wing while stress-eating kettle corn. Now Jen wrote actual NDAs with poison clauses and had once helped a fired COO walk away with a $2.1 million severance after accidentally leaking a pricing algorithm to a competitor's podcast. The reply came 3 hours later. Subject line, "Don't panic, yet, you didn't fabricate. You didn't alter. If it's internal documentation plus your own recorded meetings where you were present equals technically your data. But keep it private. No public links. And for the love of God, don't call it whistleblower TV or some stupid shit. Password it, paywall it, and keep your face off everything. Call me if you get a cease and desist." Rachel exhaled like she'd been holding it in for days. She poured a half shot of whatever was in the unlabeled bottle behind the sugar canister and opened her laptop again with new purpose. The stream didn't have to be public. It had to be strategic. She didn't need to go viral, just needed it to exist, verifiable, time-stamped, decentralized. Enough people with enough motive to watch it happen and remember every detail. She rebuilt the front page of Watch Drama Live in the soft glow of early morning. Simplified the UI, ditched anything flashy. Clean, corporate. The kind of portal you'd expect from a mid-tier learning platform. She added a terms and conditions page, boilerplate nonsense Jen had sent her, and then clicked into Stripe. Enabled subscriptions. 3 tiers. Basic access $9.99 live stream, only enhanced access $14.99 live stream, plus real-time Slack commentary legacy, tier $49.99 full archive, download permissions, and post-event insights, i.e. the juicy postmortems. Then came the burner emails. Rachel had been compiling a quiet list over the past 2 weeks. Not names, too risky, but handles. Slack aliases. Personal Gmail accounts shared after too many late nights and one too many tequila shots at conference offsites. The quietly disillusioned, the overworked, the almost fired but not yet. She BCC'd the list from an encrypted Proton Mail alias. DramaQ at ProtonMe subject line, "You didn't hear this from me." Body, "If you're reading this, you've seen the cracks. You know what they're doing. You've been told to stay quiet. What happens next will be streamed once. Privately. Password protected. The feed will go live at time you'll understand when it arrives. Until then, https://watchdramalivepw, Lunkus foreclosures." She hit send. Heart pounding like she'd sprinted to nowhere. Every window she looked out of felt like it had a red dot on her forehead. Every car idling outside sounded like someone about to knock. But no knock came. She logged into the back end and watched the signups roll in. 4, 7, 11. By the end of the night, 32 active subscribers, all anonymous, all paying, and still no alarms. Just one message, anonymous tip, came through the site's feedback form. Please tell me this is real. I've got a folder I can drop. Audit forge zip. Tell me where. Rachel smiled. The next morning, she uploaded a teaser. 1 minute, black screen, overlaid with 3 lines of white text. They asked for no drama. Then they handed me a matchbook. Coming soon, what HR means by no drama. The final line blinked once. Then the screen cut to static. The internet didn't notice, but 32 people did, and they were waiting. The invite landed at 6:42 a.m., an ungodly hour for a company that believed in work-life balance, so long as your life included mandatory 7 p.m. Slack pings. Checked confidential. Performance alignment review urgent from Melinda, HR's human-shaped tranquilizer dart. Attendees: Rachel Lane, CFO Brandon Morris, HR Director Melinda Tressel, Board Liaison Alan K. External: no agenda, no attachments. Just a terse meeting room number in a wing that hadn't been used since the COVID refresh, with a note: no need to prepare slides, just bring yourself. Which, of course, meant bring your dignity, your ID badge, and a pen to sign the NDA you'll pretend to read. Rachel stared at the screen a beat too long. Then she clicked accept, closed the tab, and said out loud to no one, "Well, let's give them a show." She spent the next 4 hours crafting the most vanilla presentation of her career. Slide 1, FY23 Cross-Functional Highlights. Slide 2, Key Learnings from Q2 Feedback Survey. Slide 3, Opportunities for Scalable Alignment. It was so offensively bland it could have been government issued. But behind the scenes, embedded in the notes section of each slide, was a command string connected to her OBS hotkey. One tap, and her camera feed wouldn't just record, it would stream. Direct to watch drama live, behind a paywall that had just hit 81 active subscribers. Rachel added a new feature the night before: real-time Slack commentary. Not actual Slack, of course. She wasn't suicidal, but a proxy chat window styled like Slack, where viewers could watch the drama unfold and comment in anonymity. 3-letter aliases. A simulated sidebar with fake channels like #teamculture and #legalegals. Theater for the bitterly betrayed. 10:02 a.m. Arrived early. The meeting room was freezing, the kind of sterile, over-air-conditioned hell reserved for difficult conversations and bad news HR wanted to feel legally distant from. No one else there yet. Just a carafe of untouched water and a stack of printed folders that smelled like toner and doom. She set up her laptop, plugged into the room projector, opened her decoy slides. OBS launched silently in the background, already connected to her private server. She tapped the hotkey. The corner of her screen blinked once. A tiny green dot glowed. Live. Elsewhere, phones buzzed. Burners chimed. One subscriber in Indiana typed, "She's in. Feed looks clean." Another in New Jersey dropped, "I brought popcorn. HR is gonna shit bricks." 10:07 a.m. Brandon, the CFO, walked in like he was arriving at a yacht club brunch, tight smile, cufflinks glinting, that soft Wall Street musk of cologne and capital gains. Linda followed, all cloying empathy and forced breathing, like she was preparing to put a puppy down with love. Alan K., the board liaison, was last, half-bald, Bluetooth earpiece still in, checking his Apple Watch like the meeting was interrupting something more important. No greetings. Just, "Thanks for coming, Rachel. Let's jump right in." Brandon spoke first. "As you know, we've been evaluating organizational cohesion and cultural alignment. There have been some flags." Melinda nodded too hard. "Behavioral consistency is a core value here, and we're seeing patterns of resistance that, well, don't reflect our values of adaptability." Rachel said nothing. She clicked to slide 2. The projector displayed Key Learnings from Q2 Feedback Survey. But online, her stream displayed something else entirely. The faces of 3 executives who didn't know they were broadcasting live to 80-plus anonymous insiders, several journalists, and based on IP logs, a handful of shareholder proxies. Alan K. leaned forward. "We want to offer you a path that protects everyone's reputation. It includes a very generous exit package, contingent on your discretion." Melinda slid a folder across the table. "You'll see there's an NDA included, standard language, nothing personal." Rachel looked down at the folder, then up at the projector, then back to her screen. The real-time chat was lighting up like a slot machine. "JDW, did he just say protects everyone's reputation?" I'm screaming RMP bet $10. She doesn't even open that folder. BR3, I work in compliance, and this is a war crime. Rachel smiled, just slightly, enough for the camera, then said coolly, before we proceed, I have a few clarifying questions, and tapped once on her trackpad, switching the stream from faces to files. Behind the projector, no one noticed the switch. But the audience did, and they were ravenous. Brandon chuckled as he tapped the manila folder like he was offering her a coupon for dental work. Look, Rachel, I get it, it's emotional. But let's be honest, everyone signs the NDA eventually. It's just protocol. You get the package, we get the closure. Win-win. From across the table, Alan Kay snorted. Well, everyone's smart anyway, he muttered, without even looking up from his phone. Melinda gave him a sharp glance. The HR version of please shut the hell up. But Alan was already leaned back in his chair, one leg slung over the other like he was watching a preseason golf match. Rachel didn't blink, didn't nod, just slid a fresh sheet of paper onto the table. On it, a screenshot, timestamps. A thread of internal emails where Brandon approved a vendor disbursement in direct conflict with board instructions, then deleted the thread 2 hours later and blamed it on cash corruption. Before I sign anything, she said, voice even as cut glass, I just want clarity on this authorization trail from March 14th. It shows $317,000 reclassified under discretionary marketing spend after legal flagged it for audit. Brandon's smile curdled. Alan finally looked up. Melinda reached for her water like it was morphine. Rachel tapped her laptop once more. The projector still showed innocuous pie charts, but the stream now cut to split screen. One half her calmly seated, the other half the email chain. Drama plus chat detonated. RMP, she brought receipts Z3 and holy shit, is that the Q1 disbursement meltdown? Sharon 99, I worked on that vendor project. This is legit. Audit snitch. Guys, check this folder I found. Creds match. Uploading now. Rachel saw it blink into existence on her mod panel. Audit forge zip, anonymous upload, 206 MB, encryption verified. She glanced at the room, slow and deliberate, like she was measuring the drop from calm to panic. Brandon shifted in his seat. That's internal documentation. You're not cleared to retain those records. Rachel, still flat-toned. They were shared in meetings I was required to attend. Retention policy says any manager may document decisions that materially affect project outcomes, which this did. Melinda opened her mouth, but Rachel cut in, still looking at Alan. Would you like to clarify why a board member signed off on third-party asset transfers to a shell consultancy run by your other startup COO? Alan stiffened. Excuse me? Rachel double-clicked. A slide popped up, on the stream only, showing payment paths mapped across 4 shell accounts in the Cayman Islands. One of them linked directly to a company called Kraken Digital Advisors, Limited, an entity registered to the same address as Alan's consulting sabbatical gig. Q4 deadlines, oh, he's fucked. HR rep in hell, this is like watching Succession if Shiv had Google Docs access V0T3, often 0C0NF, 1D3, NCE, tell me there's a recording. I need this in my will. Meanwhile, Alan tried to laugh it off. I think you're obviously under stress. Let's not act like this is a witch hunt. Then he smirked. Besides, if we're airing secrets, I'm not the one flying my mistress to leadership retreats. Brandon's head snapped toward him. Melinda gasped. Alan blinked, and the stream caught it all. Tell the intern's bro he didn't just say that skull deep cuts compliance. I'm recording this with my heart. Rachel said nothing. She let the silence vibrate. Her cursor hovered over Audit Forge Zip. She dragged it into her local folder, labeled Dead Men Walking, and dropped it in. Brandon was sweating now. Visibly. Melinda looked like she was rehearsing a resignation speech in her head. Alan started muttering something about legal overreach and board confidentiality, while still clutching his phone like it was a crucifix. Rachel closed the folder, then finally looked them in the eyes, one by one. Let me be very clear, she said, voice still like still water right before a dam gives. I'm not here to negotiate. And online, the viewer count hit 1,239. Lawyers, engineers. 2 journalist emails pinged the backend. And someone, no alias, just an IP from Northern Virginia, typed, proceed. It started with a ping, then another, then a flood. Outside the boardroom, someone in HR screamed. Inside, Rachel's laptop screen flickered briefly and then stabilized. On her end, it was quiet, but the projector above them began humming louder than before. Its fan whined like something bracing for combustion. Across the projector screen, FY23 cross-functional highlights slide glitched, then blinked out. And in its place, Watch Drama Live, streaming now. Melinda lurched to her feet like she'd been shot. "What the hell is that?" she hissed. Brandon stood so fast his chair toppled. "Turn that off, right now." But Rachel didn't move. Her hands were folded neatly on the table like she was preparing for grace before a particularly delicious dinner. She glanced up, said nothing. Then Alan's phone buzzed, over and over. Screenshots, his face, Brandon's voice. A red caption at the bottom of a Twitter post. "CFO says everyone signs the NDA eventually during secret termination meeting live." Another ping. A Reddit post, r/anti-work. "This woman is ending her company in real time. We are witnessing a symphony." Brandon lunged for Rachel's laptop. Too late. She tapped the hotkey again. The projector feed rerouted. Direct input from her laptop was disabled. Rachel had spliced the HDMI signal earlier, during what she called a routine /V calibration request logged under facilities last week. The stream was being pushed through the building's internal wireless display router, a system usually reserved for quarterly town halls. And now it was hijacked. Looping. Live. Melinda was already on the phone, breathless. "Shut it down. Shut IT down. Call IT, I don't care." The plug. Outside the conference room, footsteps thundered. Security. An IT guy in a mismatched polo and blazer combo fumbled with a tablet in one hand and an Ethernet cable in the other. He reached for the boardroom door, and it didn't open. Because Rachel, 2 nights ago, had submitted a maintenance request citing badge reader latency in room 3B. Facilities did a quick software reset. What they didn't realize was that she'd flagged the room's lockout code to a looped override state, permanent internal lockdown during meeting hours. The door clicked. Locked. Inside, Alan slammed his palm on the glass. "This is illegal. You're going to jail? You think this is funny?" Rachel turned to him, calm as ever. Her voice was low, steady, like she'd rehearsed it 100 times. "No, I think it's inevitable." The chat was now at full boil. Press pass 420 Reuters wants an interview. Exiled by Q2, someone check the stock ticker right now. Karen HR Real, my old manager, just texted I knew they were cooking the books audit forge and on uploading final tranche. 419 MB. Labeled board codex PDF, the screen above them now cycled automatically through damning documents, charts, audio snippets, and Slack archives, all curated by Rachel's hand, cross-referenced by her private spreadsheet labeled Lazarus. They didn't know it, but every word they'd spoken that morning had been uploaded, transcribed, and distributed in real time across 6 different servers in 3 countries. Then the lights dimmed. The AC died. The projector buzzed and whined as if it were being strangled. The feed stuttered. IT had found the breaker. Rachel didn't flinch. She stood slowly, laptop still untouched, walked to the screen like a conductor approaching her final note. Her finger hovered over the final key. And with a smile soft as silk and sharp as wire, she said, "Now, my final slide." Then black. The room went dark, but outside, the stream was still recording. The final slide had no animations, no transitions, just one cold, brutal title, "How We Got Here." Beneath it, a timeline stretched across the screen like a scar. Each node pulsed with evidence. Brandon's voice approving phantom vendors, Alan's Cayman Link transfers, Melinda's sanitized HR exit memos, coded to flag problematic employees as security risks. Every node cross-referenced with receipts. Emails, voice memos, meeting minutes no one thought she was writing down. Even one mid-flight recording from a leadership retreat, Alan bragging in the background about moving the money before the tax year flips. The audience, thousands of them now, flooding drama plus in real time, watched the slide advance like it was dismantling an empire with surgical grace. Color-coded categories, individual fraud totals, timestamp overlays syncing every scandal to internal Slack posts and the company's own financial disclosures. And then the projector sputtered. The fan coughed, a sound like a dying animal. The lights dropped completely. One last flicker of the screen, Brandon's signature on an unapproved wire transfer. Before it went black, the room plunged into stunned silence. But outside that sealed glass tomb, the stream was still rolling. Rachel had rigged it to record locally through her machine and mirror upload in real time. Drama Plus didn't go dark. It went archival. Viewers kept watching. And when the feed finally cut, abrupt, jagged, final, It left them with a single static frame burned into memory. Rachel, standing before the dark projector, her hands calm at her sides, face glowing with the kind of quiet that lives in the eye of a hurricane. 3 days later, the resignations began. First Alan, then Brandon. Then, in the kind of email that bleeds through Slack channels faster than wildfire, Melinda stepped down to pursue new opportunities in holistic HR consulting. The company's board issued a statement calling the incident a tragic breakdown in compliance oversight. They didn't mention Rachel. Not once. Not officially. But unofficially, her name echoed through back channels like gospel. Drama Plus hit 40,000 paying subscribers by the end of the week. Whistleblowers from other firms began submitting clips, audit logs, encrypted folders titled things like "for insurance" and "IF I get fired tomorrow." And Rachel, she vanished. No interviews, no follow-up post, no tweets. The Proton Mail alias went dark. The Slack simulacrum shut down. Her LinkedIn deactivated. Only one thing remained. A scheduled post published exactly 7 days after the stream. No sender, no subject. Just a black screen and white text. No drama, you're welcome. Below it, a link, launch. The Lantern Fund legal aid for corporate whistleblowers funded entirely by Drama Plus subscribers. Built on her code. Stocked with her playbook. The board fell. The house burned, and Rachel, she didn't walk away smiling. She built the matches, lit the fuse, and walked through the ashes like they were hers to own. Justice wasn't loud. It was time-stamped, recorded, and paid for. Big thanks, you legends of the old office days. Subscribe to keep the switch-flicking chaos alive. Your ex-boss is shaking in their loafers.